The food arrived. Tiny portions on giant plates, the kind of dishes that look like artwork but taste like someone's experimental phase. Victoria sliced into her $90 steak like she was performing surgery. This is from a very exclusive farm, only the best quality, worth every penny. A glance at me, then a smug sip of overpriced wine. Richard, do you drink wine, Miss Avery? Only on special days, and usually the cheap kind from the grocery store. Victoria almost choked on her Cabernet. Oh, bless your heart. Not everyone has a refined palate. Translation, you're poor. I just nodded like a clueless amateur. Let her cook. Then she leaned forward, elbows slightly raised, her I'm about to get real nosy posture. Do you live alone? Mom has her own apartment, yeah. And you manage on your salary? There it was, the subtle, poisonous jab. I get by. I don't need much. Victoria nodded dramatically, pretending sympathy. You're very brave. Some people, well, they just can't provide their children the life they deserve. But we all do what we can, right? Sam shifted in her seat. Even she felt the sting. But Victoria wasn't done. She took another slow sip of wine, a whole performance, then set her glass down with a click. Since we're being honest, I think we should discuss something important as a family. Richard straightened up. Mason stiffened. Sam stared down at her napkin. Uh-oh. Mason and Sam need stability, emotional and financial. We've supported them a lot. House down payment, honeymoon, emergencies. And we will continue to help, but it's important that Mason doesn't feel pressured by unnecessary responsibilities. She looked directly at me. I'm not sure I follow. We just want what's best for them, and we know your situation can be challenging. So Richard and I talked, and we'd like to help you. A monthly allowance, nothing big, just enough so Mason doesn't have to worry about you. So basically, they wanted me to disappear. Mason's jaw tensed. Sam froze. Victoria kept smiling like she'd just donated to charity. It's really better for everyone. You'd have a more comfortable life, and they'd have space to grow without extra burdens. Burden? That's what she called me. A burden. I took a slow breath, calm, steady. This was the moment I knew exactly who these people were, and they were about to know who I was. Because the next thing I said flipped the entire table dynamic, and none of them were ready for it. I never told my son, Mason, what I really earned. As far as he knew, I was just his tired, average, regular job mom. Nothing fancy, nothing special. He seen me come home with my old tote bag and my grocery store clothes and think, yeah, mom's just simple like that. And honestly, I let him believe it. Not because I was hiding anything, but because bragging isn't my style. What Mason didn't know, what nobody knew, was that for nearly 2 decades, I'd been pulling in a salary that would make most people choke on their coffee. $40,000 a month. Yup, 40,000 monthly. But I kept my life low-key. No flashy car, no designer purses, no big talk. Because real power doesn't need fireworks. Real power sits quietly and watches. Cut to my apartment, afternoon. My phone buzzed. Mason's name flashed on the screen. I picked up. Mason, voice shaky. Hey, Mom. I, need a favor. He sounded like a kid confessing to breaking a window. What's wrong? Sam's parents are visiting from out of the country. They want to meet you. We're having dinner Saturday at this, nice place. There was something off in his tone. Not excitement, not happiness. More like fear, embarrassment. Did you tell them anything about me? Silence. A long one. Just, you know, that you work in an office and you're simple. Simple. That word hit like a slap, as if my entire life, my sacrifices, my battles, my wins fit into that one tiny adjective. But I swallowed it. I'll be there, sweetheart. When I hung up, I looked around my apartment. Old couch, small TV, mismatched chairs. Nothing luxurious, nothing intimidating. And right there, something clicked inside me. If they expected a poor, simple mom tonight, then that's exactly the woman they'd meet. I wanted to see something important, how they treated someone who they thought had nothing. So on Saturday, I put on my dullest dress, my most beat-up shoes, tied my hair in a messy ponytail, grabbed my frayed tote bag, and headed to the fanciest restaurant in town. Cut 2, restaurant entrance, evening. Warm lights, luxury cars, a doorman in white gloves. I stepped inside. Sam's parents spotted me first, and the look on their faces, judgment, disgust, disappointment, all rolled into one. But trust me, they had no idea the storm that was coming and who they were really dealing with. I walked toward the table slowly, like someone who wasn't used to fancy carpets or chandeliers. I kept my shoulders slightly hunched, my steps small. Let them think I was intimidated. I wanted the full, unfiltered version of who they really were. Mason's eyes hit me first. His smile froze. His eyebrows lifted. His throat bobbed as he swallowed. Mason, embarrassed. Mom, you made it. Me, small, awkward smile. Of course, sweetheart, I wouldn't miss it. Then Sam, my daughter-in-law, stood up. Her smile was tight, polite, and colder than refrigerated leftovers. Hi, Mom. Glad you're here. But her eyes? They were screaming, why did you dress like that? Then came the parents. Sam's mom, Victoria, all glitter, jewels, and a judgmental stare sharp enough to carve ice. Sam's dad, Richard, expensive suit, heavy watch, the I own everything here vibe. Victoria lifted her chin, scanning me from my frizzy ponytail to my thrift store shoes. Victoria, fake sweet. A pleasure to finally meet you. Her handshake was cold and limp, like shaking a dead fish. I took the chair at the far end of the table, the sit the least important person here spot. Nobody pulled out my chair. Nobody checked if I was comfortable. Not even Mason. A waiter placed large, leather-bound menus in front of us. All French, no prices. Perfect. I squinted dramatically, pretending confusion. Victoria pounced immediately. Victoria. Do you need help reading it, dear? Me. Timid. Oh, yes, please. I'm not used to these fancy things. She ordered for me. The cheapest thing on the menu. Victoria. Let's keep it simple. A pointed smile. No need to overspend. Ouch. Conversation flowed, but it was all about them. Their vacations. Their 5-star hotels. Their $1,000 suits. Their exclusive brand wines. Every sentence was dipped in ego and sprinkled with snob behavior. Victoria. We've always tried to give Sam the best. Education, travel, culture. I mean, we offered them $40,000 for their house down payment. That's what real parents do. She paused, letting the number hit the air like perfume. Then she turned to me, Victoria, dangerously sweet. And you? Were you able to contribute anything when they got married? The entire table went silent. Me, softly. I gave what I could. Nothing big. Victoria smiled the way people smile at stray dogs they don't want near their car. Well, every little bit counts. It wasn't a comment. It was a dagger. Little did she know she was stabbing a multi-millionaire who could buy the entire restaurant if she wanted. And oh, if she thought that was the end of it, she had no clue what I was about to reveal next. The table went silent after their allowance proposal. Victoria leaned back like she just solved world hunger. Richard looked proud of himself. Sam looked mortified. Mason looked like he wanted to flip the table. But me? I just dabbed the corner of my mouth with my napkin and smiled politely. Me, calm. That's quite an offer. Truly generous. Victoria's eyes sparkled. She thought she won. Victoria, I'm glad you understand. We just want to help. Me, just one thing. How much were you thinking? Victoria blinked, surprised I didn't immediately gush with gratitude. Victoria, well, maybe $500? $700 if we stretch. Enough for your basics. So my existence in their eyes was worth $700. Me, soft chuckle. Wow, that's very thoughtful. Victoria nodded smugly. Now it was my turn. I sat up straighter, letting my real voice, the one I used in boardrooms, slip through just a little bit. Me. And the $40,000 you gave them? That was house money, right? Victoria, proud. Of course, we don't hold back when it comes to our children. Me. And the honeymoon? How much was that? Richard, 15,000, Europe, 3 weeks, worth every dime. Me. I nodded slowly, thoughtfully, then looked Victoria right in the eyes. Me. All that money? Did it buy you anything? Victoria frowned. Not the reaction she expected. Victoria, I'm sorry, what? I mean, did it buy you respect? Love? Loyalty? Did it make you good people? Or did it just buy obedience? Sam inhaled sharply. Mason froze. Even Richard's jaw tightened. Victoria's smile slid right off her face. Victoria, I don't know what you're insinuating. Oh, I'm not insinuating. I'm asking. Because all night you've talked about money, how much something costs, how much you spent, how much you have. I leaned in slightly. Me. But you haven't asked me once if I'm okay, or if I'm healthy, or happy, or lonely. You've only tried to calculate what I'm worth. And according to you, I'm worth what? $700 a month? Victoria's face flushed red. Not embarrassment, but anger. Richard, that's unfair. Me, is it? Because you called me a burden. You offered me pocket change to disappear. You humiliated me in front of my own son. Silence slammed onto the table like a brick. Then I placed my napkin down neatly and sat back. Me, voice firm now. You know you're right about one thing. We should talk openly as a family. And there's something I haven't told Mason. Something none of you know. The table collectively inhaled. Victoria, narrowed eyes. And what's that? I smiled. A different smile this time. A powerful one. Me. the truth about who I really am. And trust me, what I said next hit them harder than any insult they'd thrown all night. Victoria stared at me like she was waiting for a plot twist she wasn't prepared to hear. I rested my hands on the table, calm, steady, composed, the way I did when I delivered hard truths in corporate meetings. I said you admire women who struggle alone. Let me ask you something, Victoria. Have you ever struggled alone? Her eyebrows shot up. Excuse me? I'm just curious. Have you ever worked without your husband's money, built something from nothing, survived without backup? Victoria stiffened. Richard defensively said, My wife works very hard. I raised a brow. Managing money that already exists or creating it? Richard opened his mouth, then shut it. I continued. 40 years ago, I was 23, broke, pregnant, abandoned, working 2 jobs while living in a rented room where the heater barely worked. Mason lifted his head, stunned. Mom, you never told me that. I smiled softly. You didn't need to know, sweetheart. I turned back to Victoria. I worked until the day Mason was born, then went back to work 2 weeks later. 12-hour shifts, studied at night, learned English at the public library, took accounting and finance courses I could barely afford. Victoria blinked. Sam covered her mouth with her hand. I leaned back, voice steady, letting each word land. I didn't stay a secretary. I became an assistant, then a coordinator, then a manager, then a director. Victoria squinted, confused. A director of what exactly? I held her gaze. I'm the regional operations director for a multinational corporation. I oversee 5 countries, manage 9-figure budgets, and sign contracts you'd need a legal team to understand. The air in the room shifted instantly. Victoria's jaw dropped. Richard's eyes widened. Sam froze mid-breath. Even Mason looked like someone had unplugged his brain. I continued with quiet precision. I have earned $40,000 a month. Victoria choked on her wine. 40,000 a month? I nodded. Sometimes more. Bonuses vary. The shock around the table was priceless. Victoria stammering. You earned that kind of money? Then why do you dress like that? Why the apartment? Why? Because I don't need to impress anyone. Because real wealth doesn't scream. It whispers. And because I wanted Mason to value character, not cash. Mason rubbed his forehead, overwhelmed. Mom, I had no idea. That's the point. Nobody did. I looked directly at Victoria now. And that's why tonight, I came dressed like this. I wanted to see who you were when you thought I had nothing. Her face went pale. Because now that they knew the truth, the real fallout was just getting started. Victoria sat, frozen, her sequin dress subtly looking cheap next to the truth she just heard. Richard's proud posture collapsed like a deflating balloon. Sam looked like she wanted to slide under the table. Mason, he was speechless. I let the silence sit there, heavy and uncomfortable. The kind of silence people try to avoid at all costs. The kind that makes truth echo louder. Victoria, voice shaky. So, you let us think you were poor on purpose? Me, calmly. Yes. Victoria, why would you do that? Me, to see how you treat someone who couldn't give you anything. That hit her like a punch. Her lips trembled. Richard sat up straighter, trying to recover some sense of authority. Richard, well, that was manipulative. Me, soft laugh. No more manipulative than offering me $700 a month to disappear. Richard shut his mouth. Sam, barely whispering, I, I didn't know, I swear. I nodded gently. Sam didn't need punishment. She was just a spectator caught between two storms. But Victoria? Her storm was just beginning. Victoria, voice cracking, defensive. We were only trying to help. You made it sound like we abused you. Me, sharply. You humiliated me, repeatedly. Let's not sugarcoat. Her mouth opened, then closed. Me. You judged me by my dress, my shoes, my handbag you assumed I had. You measured my worth in dollars. You called me a burden. Victoria whispers, I didn't mean me. You meant every word because you believed them. Snap. Her face fell apart. Mason, quiet but firm. Mom's right. Victoria turned to him, almost desperate. Victoria, Mason, sweetheart, we didn't. Mason, Mom's right. This time, his voice was hard. Sam flinched. Richard's jaw tightened. Victoria looked like her world was collapsing. I leaned in, my tone softer but stronger. Me. I wanted to see how you treated someone you thought was beneath you, and you passed that test with flying colors. Richard scoffed. Meaning what? That we're monsters because we value financial security? Me. No, you're monsters because you think money makes you superior. He shut up again. Then slowly, I reached into my canvas tote, the same one Victoria mocked, and placed a sleek, black metal credit card on the table. It gleamed under the chandelier like a tiny, silent bomb. Victoria gasped. Victoria, is that? Me. Yes. A corporate unlimited card, mine. Their faces drained of color. And Victoria, I'm paying for dinner, all of it, with tip. Her jaw dropped. But what happened next, when their own credit cards failed one by one, turned the whole night into a disaster they'd never forget. The black corporate card lay on the table like a live grenade. Small, quiet, deadly. Victoria stared at it the way someone stares at a snake they didn't realize was on their lap. The waiter approached politely. Shall I bring the check now? Before I could answer, Richard puffed his chest out. No need. I'll take care of it. He slid one of his shiny gold cards onto the tray, the kind of card people flash to feel important. The waiter walked away. Victoria exhaled dramatically, trying to regain her dignity. Honestly, this whole night has been blown out of proportion. No need for theatrics. No theatrics, dear. Just truth. Before she could respond, the waiter returned. Sir, your card was declined. Boom. The look on Victoria's face, pure horror. That's impossible. Try again. The waiter nodded and left. Victoria leaned in to whisper aggressively. What kind of joke is this? Our cards never decline. I didn't say a word. I didn't have to. A moment later, the waiter came back, eyes apologetic. Sir, I'm sorry. It was declined again. Dead. Silence. Everyone stared at them. Victoria's face twisted with humiliation. Richard, do something! I am doing something! The bank probably froze the accounts. I cleared my throat gently. Should I handle the bill? Victoria whipped her head toward me. No, we don't need your charity.
Sweetheart, I insist. I lifted my transparent, heavy metal card, the one less than 1% of the people on the planet qualify for, the Centurion. The waiter's eyes widened. He took it reverently, walked off, and returned in record time. All set, Miss Avery. Thank you. Victoria stared at me like she just discovered I had superpowers. Don't worry. Consider it a family gesture. After all, dinner was only $800, around what you wanted to give me monthly, right? Victoria's face crumpled. Richard looked crushed. Mason whispered, "Man, Mom." Sam covered her mouth, humiliated, not by me, but by her parents. And that was when Victoria snapped. She stood up, abruptly, chair screeching. "This isn't over. You think you embarrassed us? You think you won? I will not be disrespected like this." I looked up at her, calmly. "Oh, Victoria, this wasn't disrespect. This was accountability." And what she said next was the moment everything in that restaurant shifted forever.
Victoria stood trembling, like her entire world had been ripped off the pedestal she built for herself. Victoria stood trembling, like her entire world had been ripped off the pedestal she built for herself. "You humiliated us. You tricked us. You set us up." Her voice cracked, loud enough that another table turned to look. Richard grabbed her arm, whispering sharply, "Victoria, sit down." But she yanked her arm away, like a child throwing a tantrum. "No, I won't sit. I won't be shamed." I stayed calm, cool, collected. "Victoria, nobody set you up. You revealed who you were all on your own." She glared at me with pure hatred. Hatred born from embarrassment. "You should have told us who you were. You should have warned us." "Why? So you could pretend to respect me?" "I didn't hide my income to trick you. I just didn't advertise it. You assumed I was beneath you because I wasn't wearing a designer dress. That's on you." Her lips trembled, anger fighting tears. "We don't need your judgment or your money." I leaned forward, voice soft but razor sharp. "You needed my money 5 minutes ago when all your cards declined." Richard looked away. Victoria finally broke. She sank down into her chair, holding her head, mascara smudging. Her voice was small now, fragile. "We just wanted the best for our daughter." "No, you wanted the most control over your daughter." Sam's eyes widened at her mother. "Mom, she's right." Victoria looked at her daughter like she couldn't believe even Sam was siding against her. "You always said respect matters more than money, but tonight you proved you believe the opposite." She covered her face. A cool breeze hit us as we stepped out. Victoria and Richard walked ahead, stiff and humiliated. Sam lingered behind, tears in her eyes. She approached me. "I'm so sorry. For everything. For what they said. For how they treated you. I promise you I didn't know." I placed a gentle hand on her arm. "I know you didn't, and I don't blame you." She nodded, relieved. Then Mason stepped up. His face was red, ashamed, frustrated, emotional. "Mom, I just... Why didn't you ever tell me?" Mom i.e. smiling. "Because money doesn't define us, and I didn't want you growing up entitled or dependent on it." He swallowed hard. "I'm not ashamed of you. I'm ashamed of them, and of myself for not defending you sooner. You were shocked and learning.
That's okay. He hugged me, tight, sincere. I love you, Mom. I love you more. Mom, i.e., forgiveness isn't the issue. Growth is. She lowered her eyes, humbled. I turned to leave with Mason and Sam beside me. Sometimes the richest people in the room are the poorest in character. Sometimes the simplest person is the strongest one there. And sometimes silence isn't weakness, it's strategy. And tonight, I didn't show them wealth. I showed them worth.